So now it's time to start with the CSS part for this particular whole system application. So for that we need to use the style.css file, and this file is already linked by using this particular link tag. So this file is actually created in the same directory where my index.html file is created. So inside of the style.css, first we need to actually provide the style code for the body element. So here I am just going to increase the zoom little bit, and then I will be add here a body. So the first property that we want to change inside the body is actually the background color. So the background color is going to be like F3, F3 and F3, which is for the light gray. You can see now the color is applied to the background. Then we need to add here a font family, and the font family is going to be like Arial Helvetica. So this is a font family that I will be using for this particular application. I'm just going to remove this Helvetica one. Okay, and then I need to actually here use the margin and the padding. So we need to actually reset the margin. So margin is going to be 0, and then padding is going to be 0 as well, which actually reset the basic CSS. Then we need to here use the display. So display is going to be like flex, and then we need to here use the justify content, which is going to be the center. You can see now the content is shifted to the center of the browser, and then we need to use here the align items to the center. And after that we need to provide the height, which is going to be like 100 VH. Alright, now you can see the content is actually placed inside the center of the browser. Now the next element that we want to style is actually the container. So this is actually the container in which everything is actually present. So we need to use the container to style it. So it's actually a class selector. So we need to provide here a dot, and then after that we need to provide the code inside this container. So the first thing is we need to actually change the color. So the color is going to like a pure white color. Now you can see the color is actually applied to the container. Then the next property I want to add is actually the padding. So padding is going to like 20 pixel. Now you can see the result of the padding is applied. Then I need to add the border radius property. So border radius is going to like 10 pixel, and after that I will be using my favorite property, which is the box shadow property. Not box sizing, it's actually a box shadow property, and for that we will be using here 0, 2 pixel, and then the blurriness is going to be like 5 pixel. And the function that I will be using here, RGB function, which is like 0, 0, 0. So here actually I'm going to type it again like RGBA. So this is a function that I will be using here, which is 0, 0, 0, and then the alpha value is going to like 0.1. If I control save it, you can see now we get this nice rounded corner card. Okay, then the next element that I want to add is the text align property. So it's actually not popping up because it is not terminated. So it's like text alignment. And then I need to use here a center. So it is going to be the center of the screen. Now every text is actually aligned at the center of the container. Then we need to add the animation, but before that we need to actually provide the code for the animation. So I'm going to here just leave it blank because we need to create the keyframes. So here I will be using the add the rate keyframes. Then we need to provide here an identifier name, which is actually a card animation. Right, so this is actually a card animation. Inside of that, first we will start with the 0% opacity, and then we need to provide here 100, and it's going to like percentage, and then we need to start its block of the code. And here we need to provide the transform property. So transform is going to like scale because we want to perform a scale animation from 0, and then we need to also set the opacity to 0, which is the starting state. And then we need to provide here a transform again, and then here we need to again use the scale and then provide the value 1, and then we need to provide the opacity to also 1. Control save it, and then I need to apply the animation. So it is going to like card animation. No, it's like a card animation. So actually I have to type the entire code name here, card animation 1, which is going to like 1s, which is for the 1 second. Then we need to provide here a ease in out. If I control save it, now you can see the card animation is performed to the container. Okay, so that's marks the code for the container also. Next we need to style the h1. So we need to select the h1 element, which is the heading, and then inside of that first I will be changing the color, which is like hash symbol, then ff, and then 1493, which is for the pink color. If I just simply say it here, you can see now the color is changed for this particular whole system heading. Alright, next we need to add the font size property. So the font size is going to like 32 pixel, and then we need to here provide the opacity. So opacity is going to like 1. Control save it, then you can see now it's actually working fine. Next we need to provide here a pole. So if you actually see it, this is actually the pole. If I come back to the HTML part, so it is actually the main pole. If we just simply see it, everything actually present inside the pole. This is all content, like just leaving this heading, everything is actually a pole inside that particular division. So we need to provide the code for this pole division. Okay, so inside of that I will be adding the margin property. So margin from top is going to be like 20 pixel. Control save it, and you can see there is a margin is applied. Now the next thing is we need to add the code for the h2 element, that is actually this particular heading. So again here we need to use the h2, and then starting its block of the code. Instead of that, I need to provide the color. So the color attribute, then the same color that I will be using here. So it's like copy it, and I'm going to paste it the same color. You can see now the color is actually changed. Alright, next we need to actually provide here font size. So the font size I'm going to just decrease it a little bit, so it's going like 24 pixel. Then we need to provide the margin top property, or I can say that the margin bottom, not top, because we need to provide the margin bottom here, which is like 20 pixel. Okay, so now the h2 is also done. Next we need to provide the code for the options. So this is actually an option, so we need to actually a class selector. So again we need to here provide the dot and then the selector name, which is the class selector. So display is going to like flex. If I do that, then you can see everything is actually arranged at the single row. Then we need to actually provide here a flex direction, which is going to be the column. If I do that, then everything will be presented in the screen, means everything will be presented in a single column. Then we need to add the other align items, which is going to be the center. If I did that, then everything will be placed inside the center. So that is all for the option. Next we need to provide the code for the option. Remember, the options is a entire container that has all the other option, and then this option actually going to denote a single option, but we're going to apply the style to this particular option, and it will automatically apply to all the one, because everyone is actually sharing the same class name, which is option. Coming back to the CSS, and here I need to use the option, not option. It's going to be just only single option. Remember that, don't apply the s inside of this one. Alright, now inside of that, first we will adding the property, which is like margin bottom property, which is going to be like 10 pixel, because right now they are actually very close to each other. Now as soon as that 10 pixel like margin is applied, so every element will get the space. Okay, so that's marked set for the option. Now we need to select the input type, but for that we need to use these array brackets, which is a square bracket. So it's going to like type, and not an type, it's actually a type, is equal to, and then we need to here provide the radio, that is like radio. Okay, radio, and then we need to start the block of the code, and after that we need to actually provide here a display. Right now the display is going to be none. Okay, so we actually want to actually reduce the size of the display, so we actually set the display of the radio to none. Okay, means the circular form, and then we need to actually set the code for the label, because remember we have a label in which the text is actually display, right? This is the main label in which the label of the programming language is display. So the first thing is we need to actually set the display, which is going to be like inline, and then we also need to provide here a block, inline block. Okay, and then we need to add here a background color. So the background color is going to like hashtag f3, f3, and f3. So this will be the background color, and also you need to add the f3 as well. Okay, so this will be the background color, and then I need to here provide the padding. So padding is going to be like 10 pixel, and then we will also provide the padding like 20 pixel. Alright, you can see now the changes applied to the radio labels, because the circles are actually set to none, and then we have actually doing this. So if I click on it, then we will want to change the color. Alright, that is what we want to achieve. So that is why we are actually applying here a style. And then we are actually going to apply the border radius. So border radius is going to like 5 pixel. Okay, and then we need to add here a cursor property. So cursor is going to be like pointer, and then we need to add here a transitions. So transition, and then we need to apply the transition to background color, and then color, and then we need to here put it 0.3s. Control save it. So right now you can see there is no transition, because we want to apply the hover state. Okay, so now we need to actually provide the hover state to the option. So the first we need to actually select the option, so which is like dot and then the option. So again, if I come back to the class, this is this option, which is a class attribute. So here I need to provide the option again, it's like color, and then we need to provide here a black color. Control save it, and it's going to give us a dark black color. And then inside of the option we need to provide the hover state. So again we need to here type the option, then the pseudo class which is hover, and then we need to start it block of the code. Inside of that, first I'm going to change the background color. So here I want to write the background color, then the background is going to like ff1493, which is a pink color that actually we have applied to the headings as well. You can see right now it's actually giving the color, but we want to change the things as well. So we are going to modify it. So we are actually going to provide the color again, which is a font color. So we are going to use here FFF, which is for the font color. Alright, and right now if I hover over it, then you can see the font color is changed, but the main color, which is this pink color, is not visible. So for that we need to apply some more code here. Alright, so let me first complete the code. So if I just simply here use the dot option, and then we need to provide the input, and then we need to use the array brackets, and then we need to define here a type is equal to, we need to use the radio, because we are going to update the color of the radio, and then we need to start the checked state, which is like checked, and then we need to provide the plus label, and then we need to start its block of the code, and then here we will be using the background color, which is like hashtag FF1493, which is this particular color, and then we need to apply the color, which is a font color, that is going to the white. If I control save it, now you can see the color is actually applied. If I select it, now you can see now the things are actually working. Right, similar in this particular application, but when I hover over it, then the color is actually not going to be changed. So what we can do, instead of hover, we can actually going to remove this color code because it is giving the problem, I think. If I come back to the our version of the application, so that's look great. Alright, so this is what, if I hover over it, then you can see there is a corners is actually getting changed. That is the effect we have achieved. Actually I have here did something. If I just remove this one and if I control save it, then what will be the impact? Actually there is no impact, so we want to achieve this effect. Okay, so let's remove this color one because that is not required. Okay, so next we need to actually apply the color code for this button. So we need to select the button here, so button, and then we need to add the code here. So this is going to the button, so background color, and then here I will be using F1493, which is the same color that we have used for the radio buttons as well. Then we need to add the color, which is a font color property, not columns, it is like a color, and then we need to apply the white color to the button as well. And then we need to add the padding property. So padding from left and right means padding from top and bottom is going to like 20 pixel, means 10 pixel, and from left and right it is going to like 20 pixel. Okay, and if I can here add 200 pixels, it will become more big, which you can use it if you want, but I want to use it like 20 pixel. Then I need to remove the border. So border is going to be like none, because by default there is a border is applied to the button. And then we need to apply the margin top property, which is going to be like 20 pixel. Now you can see that the margin is applied, and then we need to apply the property which is border radius, which is going to be 5 pixel. After that there is a cursor property that I want to change, which is pointer. Then we need to apply a nice transition. So transition, we want to apply it with the background, and then colon, then color, and then we need to provide here a 0.3s, and then we need to add here a button, then hover and starting this block of the code, and then we need to change the background color. So the background color is going to like FF00F55. Save it, and if I hover over it, then you can see now the color is become little bit more dark, like a red color. Then we need to provide the code for the result, which is like quite a lot of CSS code that we will do once we complete with the JavaScript part, right? So we will add that particular CSS part in the JavaScript once we're done with the JavaScript, because right now there is no such way to actually see this data. So once we get the data, then we will add this CSS code part, means we are going to come back to this style.css file again and then add the code which is for the updation of the result element, that is this particular one. Alright, so that is for this particular lecture, which is for the poll system application. In the next part we are going to start with the JavaScript.